Hello and welcome to episode 46 of Rigor Mortis Paranormal. Tonight's episode includes A Lifetime of Horror, Haunting in Hawaii, Haunted High Wheel Bike, and more. I am David. This is Robert, Jasmine, Kory, Ian, Jacob, and Christian.
Hello, hello.
Yeah.
Quarantine and chill.
Yeah, the quarantine episode, huh?
There we
One
go.
more.
Bust out the lights off. just in case they're wondering, we got less than 10.
I promise that's not 10.
Yeah,
No more than 10.
There's 9 of us here.
Nine and a half was catch. This is our special quarantine episode. Actually, we came together because we were trying to abide by the law. And actually we are, because there's not that many of us in here.
And the majority of us are wearing masks.
Yeah.
We're all 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
I can smell Jacob, so.
Depending on whose feet you
Cash, let me borrow your
6
shoes.
baby feet.
No, but this one actually, I guess it was because of several emails, and they were telling us.
All our
Hey, man.
fans were reaching out to us.
All two of our fans.
3 of our fans were saying, "Come on,
Three of our
guy."
family members.
No, but they were really where we got that email. That we had several emails, but there was some in particular that were telling us, "Hey, man, more than ever, you guys got to get your ass in gear,
Yeah,
man,
that
because
was
they're
cool.
bored."
Yeah, that was
And mind you, man, I was sick, and we're busy with our regular.
I had my teeth pulled out.
That kidney stone the size of Mount
Yeah,
Everest.
that's right, man. I forgot. Yeah, if you heard the last episode, y'all knew Rob was feeling
I
a little
didn't know
sick.
that.
He was
Went
sober.
I didn't. I'm making up for
pathetic.
lost episodes. I was like, I gotta catch up. But hey, dude, that sucked.
Oh man, I
That
bet, man.
it
It's like-
fucking sucked, and it hurt like hell. I had to roll 9 days with a catheter and a fucking urine
A
bag.
lunchbox.
Yeah, and I put my
You
my
had a
Gucci
merce.
bag.
It was a merce. A man purse.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to walk around with my brown urine. No, because a see-through bag, man. But like, man, it sucked, man. It
Oh
sucked.
my god.
And then I got another probably worse story on top of that. After they took the kidney stone out, they said, "Well, you know, they gotta put a stent in you, and that's no fun. There's like kind of like these 2 little strings hanging out of your goods, man." And yeah, that's the only way I can say it. But it was easier than the bag, so you gotta pee, right? And what they did is they kind of taped those strings to the to what the little I got, you know.
We gotta cut your strings a little shorter, sir.
Yeah, we need a little
Take
piece
down the
of tape,
stomach.
right? So that probably would have been better. I never thought about that. Yeah, they could have used duct tape, then big, roofing tape or something. Anyway, so what happens is, like, I take my shower after, because of Corona and all that. You know, I come home, I take my shower, go to bed, man. Business as usual in the morning, man. So, man, I'm not kidding. I forgot that it loosened, right?
Oh man.
The tape loosened, and the adhesive came back to life. And where did it wind up? On my chons, right? On my underwear.
Oh man.
So what do I do, man? The first thing we do is I sit down, man, because you know it's business.
Yanked
as
them
usual.
off.
No, I pulled them down fast, not kidding. Man, that thing stuck, and it pulled my stent like a little bit further than it was supposed to go. Man, I called the doctor because I had leakage. What happened is I pulled it into my bladder instead of, like, it was, you know, in my narrow urethra. I pulled it into my bladder. What happens is it's just like it's like if you go outside when it gets too cold, they tell you to turn on the water faucet so it doesn't break. That's what was going on. So I was like putting paper and pads, you know, I was walking around. I did, man. The front of my stomach and my pouch underneath looked like, you know, Jorge Ponce, if y'all guys gotta look him up. So I'm over there walking around like that, and I'm starting to trip. And this happens like about 6:30 in the morning. So the thing don't open till 9. So, man, I'm doing a puddle everywhere I'm going. So I'm just in the tub waiting to call the doctor. I fucking called the doctor, finally answer, man, and the guy's like, we'll get the message to the doctor. I mean, I was like the first phone call there, so they're like, we'll tell the doctor, you know, what you should do next. And I'm like, are you serious? I was like, what is this going to be like, 30 minutes for it? I mean, come on now, man.
What do I do in the meantime?
They were pretty good, actually. They actually called me within like 5 minutes, and it was the doctor, too, which tripped me out even more, man. He's like, well, now they said that you pulled it down or out. Why did you do that? And I was like, I wouldn't. So I had to go through the whole experience again. I'm like, look, man. He's like, yeah. And he told me it's in your bladder.
Oh, that happens.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, don't worry about it. He says, just go ahead. He says, are you having any problems peeing? And even if I wasn't going to tell him. I'm not getting nothing shoved back up there. I had that for like 10 days. I don't want to go through that shit no more. So I'm like, but I wasn't. I was peeing fine, man. Obviously, I didn't have. I was getting dehydrated. I had no more water in me. So yeah, the tub was filling up. Yeah. So I'm like, man, And he's like, yeah. He goes, yeah. Go ahead and just pull it out. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. He said, no, don't really. It's like a wet noodle.
You paid all this money
wet noodle?
for him to fucking...
Wet noodle what?
Dude, he said it's like a wet noodle pulling out. So he's like, no, I didn't want to go back, Jazz. Just because I was thinking, like, got you. We're going to put another one in. I was like, no. So, man, so there I am, and I'm pulling it, like, real slow.
Ooh.
And I said, I can't do this. I did, but that was something else. And I hope I don't wish that on my worst enemy. But, man, I'm not kidding. After that, forget it. I think I went like it was like still like 9:30. I just went straight to the fridge.
Oh man!
I was like, fuck this. Day. I did, man. I was like happy mood, man. I was like, man.
Hey, no wonder he didn't want spaghetti the other day.
Hey, did you forget that you didn't have the catheter bag or no? Because you had it on for a week, right?
I had that thing on. I'm not lying for well, if you count the day of the actual laser, it was 10 days.
So did you? Was there a time where you kind of forgot?
Just had a bag in him.
He's carrying a bag.
Carrying a bag in him.
And you kind of like pee a little.
Soaking his pants with a bag.
I was afraid of that. I was afraid of that. Like, I was like, oh wait, I gotta pee. Oh no, I got the bag on. Then I just feel my stomach. I was afraid of that.
Since people are requesting us, right? Are we an essential podcast?
I would assume so.
We're essential.
For real.
Essential for laughs and spookiness, of course. Yes.
Yeah. I know. We're so essential. We're all our followers.
Hey, we're essential to the ones we have.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they're essential to us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, Rob, I had a question about. So I heard that they were talking about like maybe shaking you to break up the. Did they find a machine big enough to do that? Yeah, some dude shaking his shit out there.
Right? They had 2 forklifts. One, you go right, I go left. Right? They put me in a big tube. I got excited about that because some guy said, "Dude, they're gonna put you in this thing and then you'll get the stent, right?" And I'm like, "Fuck, nobody." Honestly, that part sucked. The stent and the catheter.
You get shampoo down there and it sucks, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, a stent, dude.
Well, that's why
we're gonna put this wet noodle in there. It's not wet yet, but
it
will be.
It will be.
You know what it looked like? Okay, I'm gonna tell you. Like it looked like say like if you got like inside of your plugs, inside of the wire that you plug in, whatever you appliance that you have or whatever you plug in.
Yeah.
Like if you pull off one of those things and inside you have like you got your red and your black, and then you got whatever those little wires. And they have the
random furry kind of ones.
No,
like a floss,
like yarn,
like floss.
No, they were plastic coating over the wire.
Yeah.
So like it looked just like the plastic coating without the wire. Well, that one had the string because and man, when I pulled it out, I started to trip, man. And that's like stitching string, so it's not gonna break. You have to cut it. But yeah, it was disgusting. Dude.
One of you lucky followers could win.
I have it. I do have that.
Enter our raffle today. You can win.
In case you want to go fishing anytime
soon. And then too. Okay, this is where I was going. I guess with that, because now it's a drag because and it's serious. Everything that's going on, and man, we all hope and. We are all hoping for the best for everybody out there, and hopefully this ends real quick. And we all got to do our part.
And the Corona plan opens back up.
Yeah. They said now it's the Modelo, right? Modelo,
Corona and Modelo. I think
Corona. They got after those people. I think some dumb fucks. It's because of Corona beer. Those sons of bitches. That's why they named it.
Go down.
Did they stop production or something?
No, I think they closed it down because of the
production.
coronavirus.
Just like everywhere else is closing down.
We're getting targeted.
But I mean, when I was out those days, so it's weird. As the first day I go back, right? they're like, yeah, you're essential. You're not gonna have any days off. Some of my buddies, they're getting 1 week on and 1 week off, right? And I'm like, oh, you guys. Well, that's kind of cool because I kind of feel bad for like Jazz and Mom and my wife and those who even Jamie, all these guys that gotta stay.
We have to stay at home.
Well, they gotta stay.
No,
here.
it is.
It sucks, and it's like in the morning. I'm like looking forward to going to work. So I'm lucky, So, and I really am. But like we're making, but I was just like the first day I went back, I felt like even kissing my boss, man. I didn't have nothing attached in me.
Rob said, I'm essential.
Yeah, no, man, I just didn't have nothing inside of me. I was like, oh, thank you, Lord. Anyway, I didn't mean to go on and ramble about that, but that's what's been happening. Dave, I know you've been busy with our real jobs. Jasmine and her tooth, Jacob with his tooth.
Yeah, what was up with the teeth, man? It was weird.
Yeah, what's going on with the teeth?
Everyone got their teeth pulled.
Oh, really?
As soon as that coronavirus came. It's all that 5G.
Yeah, 5G networks and shit.
I got 3 tooth pulled. I was like, just take them out, please, all 3 of them. But
That's just crazy.
Yeah, I have like stitches now, and I'm supposed to go back, but they closed the dentist.
Just pull
What
them out.
are
Yeah.
you supposed to do now?
I don't know.
Her tooth's just growing over there.
Do what your dad did. You gotta remove them yourself.
I was going to, but I don't know if
I
fuck
think
up
that
my
thing
gums.
did by itself because they're like, whatever you do, you don't eat chicharrones or don't eat popcorn, and like that's like the first. I like put a bag of popcorn in the chicharrones. I was like, man,
with a beer on the side.
It's weird because I work from home, and it's weird though. Now that I have to be inside, I want to get out.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I can't handle this.
I need to Uber.
It's weird.
Yeah.
My dad, every time he looks at me, he's like, how can you be stuck inside so much, man? He's like, how do you do it? And I'm like, I don't know. Well, I think for me though, it was conditioning from going to college in New England. Like you those winters there, man. You don't want to go out.
Yeah.
You spend the whole winter in. So I got used to that. So for me at least, I'm like, this is easy. I can do this, no problem.
Yeah, I can see that.
But for other people that like going out.
I miss going to Riot's school lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how.
Enchiladas,
Oh my god. Well, I mean, not even the lunch. We never ate it there, but just actually getting to socialize.
Get the cheese
man.
man.
Yeah, right. Get the cheese man. That was kind of weird too. Like not having the kids in school. It's almost like it's summer in a way.
Yeah, like they're gonna just not do the rest of the year.
But there's nothing to do. They're like, you're gonna have summer, but you can't have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay.
You can't go nowhere. Yeah, that's true. They can't do nothing. What are they gonna do? I mean, and then I guarantee you, man, them kids are gonna go back obese, man.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. What you do then? The same thing too.
Yeah, Ryan won't stop fucking snacking.
Yeah.
We've never ran out of snacks. Like we always had something in his little snack bucket.
Because you get bored. You get bored. You just all there is to do
I'm
is
not
eat.
biting him no more. He's gonna fucking eat.
That's one thing. We're eating a lot too now, and it's like there's nothing else to do but eat.
Exactly.
And I'm like, dude, we're buying. We spent like $200 at the grocery store on the weekend, and then by Wednesday there we are again, like buying more stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, what in the world? Yeah. It's like it's crazy and just eating, man. That's all.
But that's it. I mean, that's what you get. Like, I mean, really, what do you do? I mean, Netflix and Tiger King.
Tiger King.
I get
we're gonna do that later.
Fucking Carol Baskin.
Fucking Carol Baskin.
We can work out
Carol
too.
Baskin.
Is that what you think?
Oh, we can always work out.
The gym shut down. When the gym shut, man, I've been drinking. The gym shut down. I started early, man. I had
to. You
man.
sound Swedish, bro.
The
gym shut down. I don't know. That was the first thing that came to mind.
But that's what I'm saying. Okay, yeah, I did know Kory. Me and Kory actually started early. Me and Kory, we started early. Oh yeah, it's Dutch.
I just saw the dots above the U's. So.
But man, but there's all kinds of goodies that are coming. Okay, first of all, they are putting a lot of good stuff on Netflix. They were saying, I didn't know if y'all heard this. Since the theaters are closed, there's something that you can buy movies on TV.
Yeah,
you can rent them.
but because they still want to make their fucking money back from their.
Hey, but that might become a thing because people might make more money like
that.
Like
staying
home and watching it. I mean,
seriously, the beer's cheaper. But they make a lot of money on that too.
That's where they make their money.
Yes, I fucking paid for two drinks and popcorn. I spent $18.
$75.
That's like
$20-something bucks.
You gotta fill your purse.
Bullshit.
You gotta go to Dollar Tree and fill your purse and then take that.
Yeah. But I didn't know about those apps. And then my buddy at work, he's like, well, you can rent it or you can buy it. And I bought that. Well, I did. Just see it once, You remember when it comes back.
You resell it, though? You can resell it.
Eventually, it'll be for free on Netflix anyway. So.
And that's what I'm saying. And then, but I mean, we're getting a lot of goodies. There are some people trying to take a Jacob. What did you tell me, Jake? What was it that's free?
Oh, yeah.
Premium Pornhub.
Oh shit, that's a top seller.
That's free right now. You only get 1 free month, so take advantage of it.
What else?
Those are the goodies, right? No stretch marks. Yeah, man. No rash on the ass. It's all good.
There's your workout.
Jake said, you also said the guy on guy shit was free too, right?
That's been free.
Been free.
The Sword Fighters Club.
We're jousting.
Hey, but everybody said this 2020 is going to be the year for all the holidays were going to be either on a Saturday or a Friday, and they were like, everybody's been so excited. I'm like, fuck, if we can even fucking go out anymore. Halloween,
Saturday,
Christmas,
should be dope.
Thanksgiving, like it's all gonna be on days that.
Be Joe Exotic.
This stuff ain't gonna
But
be
yeah,
over.
we'll see what's open. We can even go out.
I'm gonna be his husband with the pearly whites.
Hey,
Oh,
one
did you see-
potential- Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, but his teeth. They said that's how far you need to be apart.
That's
from
social
family.
distancing. They said know the difference.
Oh my
Talk about
god.
Tiger King. In case you didn't.
Yeah, if you didn't, I mean, I'm sure everyone on here's probably seen
I've
it.
never heard of it. What is
Man,
that?
Jasmine and Kory kept telling me, you gotta see the Tiger King. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
It's so bad, it's good.
Yeah, no, but that's why I like shit like that. You know, like the terrible shit, the better, man. So, and he told me, man, he just thinks they're like golden nuggets. You know, he's talking about his balls and his boyfriend enjoying them. I'm like, what the fuck?
I don't want to give no spoilers.
Yeah, I don't either, but yeah,
But
it's an awesome
at a
show.
very inappropriate time in front of his mom.
Oh yeah. But yeah, let's just say the sanest guy on there was like
fucking
a
murdered
hardcore
drug dealer.
Drug dealer, yeah. So yeah.
Or
Not even a dealer, he was like
no,
a...
No, he was the boss.
The guy with both of his legs missing, he was pretty sane.
Yeah, he was, and so was the lady with the missing arm. She was too. They were like down there.
Oh,
people.
Monflora?
Yeah, the one that they were talking about.
Right?
I didn't get that far.
No, she's in the beginning, though. She's like a...
I was working at the same time, so I
She had
wasn't
like a hat
watching
on,
it.
she's talking...
She's at
a
least in
worker
the
there.
second. I think she's at least in the second
Right?
episode.
I just heard Carol Baskin's like 100
100...
times.
Oh, you'll hear it about
Hey, y'all.
200,000 more times.
She's from San Antonio. Obviously,
Yeah,
everybody
Carol
knows that.
Baskin's from here.
Okay, wow, I didn't know that.
And
Yeah.
also, we share birthdays.
She's gonna fucking
Oh, no
change
shit.
What?
Oh, we're
Yeah,
gonna
look
start
at that.
calling you.
So technically, you're fucking Carol
Yeah.
Baskin.
Carol Baskin's fucking
All the
Jasmine.
devious people were born on that date.
I know.
They're saying they should make a movie about it, and David Spade should play him. But
Yeah, but
I
somebody
saw-
else
what's his
said
name?
that
What's his name? Red from Pineapple Express. What's that guy's name?
Oh,
Danny
Danny McBride.
Danny McBride. They're saying
yeah.
he should play him. I was like, that'd be way better.
That'd be way better. He's way funnier too, man.
Mm-hmm.
Mom Florida.
I mean, she was.
What's his Joe Exotic? Both his last name is Maldonado.
Well, he took the other guy's last name. He took his husband's last name.
Chase or something.
His
So,
last
yeah.
name's like Shazinski or something like that. It's something weird.
Who? The Tiger King?
Yeah, it was something
His last
weird.
name was Maldonado.
That's when he got married.
Oh yeah, with that.
One of his husband's last name was Maldonado.
I
He
didn't
took
know
it.
that. Yeah, so yeah, he might be right. Or no.
He was like, here's some meth, here's some trucks.
Hey,
so
he-
he gets what he wants.
Yeah, but he did hook him up right with weed
Yeah,
and whatever
everything.
they wanted. Yeah, so but the dude had bucks too, man. They said it was worth like $2 million is still a lot to me. So,
Yeah.
but I think it may have been more now. But those people, they're I don't know. Just see the show, fellas. Man, we plugged them
watch
enough,
it.
right?
Watch it. We didn't tell him the whole story.
Plugged them literally.
Should
Should we get to the first story?
let's
Yeah,
get to
what we got?
the
What we
first
got?
story.
Lifetime of Horror. That's about that lady who called in.
With the haunted houses, yes.
My ghost story is about a house that I helped my dad renovate, and I ended up moving into it because I liked it so much. However, in the middle of renovating, my dad went to lunch. I was working in the basement, and the previous tenant came in and was checking out what the house looked like after we had done a bunch of work on it with her daughter. And she asked me if I'd had anything weird happen to me yet, and I thought that was kind of odd. And the daughter said that the place was haunted, and I thought that was odd too because she was about 6 years old. And I thought, you know, what 6-year-old knows their house is haunted? Anyways, so that was the first thing that should have alarmed me, I guess, about the house or warned me. We moved in about 3 weeks later, and a week after that, I found out I was pregnant with my first daughter. One night we were sleeping, I had a nightmare about a girl with wet hair that looked like she was about 18 years old. She was definitely dead. She came down from my attic. I watched her walk down from my attic and into my room, and I watched her watch me sleep. Then I woke up and was a little, unnerved. Went to go get a glass of water, turned the light on in the hallway, and the attic door was wide open. So that really freaked me out. But I kind of brushed it off because at that point I didn't believe in ghosts per se yet. Then I got up another time, and I saw what looked like a shadow in the hallway, and I kind of brushed that off. That was about a week after this first incident. And then not much happened until my daughter was about 6 months old. I was taking a bath, and my husband at the time worked graveyard. So I had the bathroom door open so I could hear if she woke up. I had the door open, and I saw what looked like it was a shadow figure, but it looked like a 2 to 3 foot tall gremlin, like hunched over figure, and it scurried past the bathroom towards my daughter's room because her room was right next to the attic door. And I sat there for a minute in the bathtub going, I really need to get up and check and see if that was really something, because I went for her room. So after a minute, I finally got my wits together to get out of there and go check. And I turned on her light, went through her room. I didn't see anything. And I did not check the attic because after that dream, I didn't really go in the attic at all. I did not like the attic. It freaked me out. Then I would start hearing random noises while I was watching TV late at night while my husband was at work and my daughter was asleep. Sometimes it would be like a creak in the floorboard, which, could be because the house was built in the 40s. Or just, weird noises like ticks or anything. It was just weird. So one night my husband was working graveyard, like usual, and I heard what sounded like, we had a basement, but the stairs were carpeted. And I heard what sounded like footsteps coming up the stairs. So I went over to the stairs with my digital camera because I didn't see anything on them, and I started taking pictures. And in the pictures, I saw what looked like 40 orbs on the stairs that were all different sizes. But at the time, obviously, I was an amateur, so I didn't know the difference between an orb or dust. So I held it back, and I showed it to my husband when he got home in the morning and was like, look, this is really freaky. And he was like, oh, whatever, it's probably dust. But that still kind of stuck with me and kept me kind of creeped out and stuff. Then I also worked in the basement. We had this huge family room, which I had a computer in, and I did some work on the computer in my office. And I always felt like I was being watched down there, which is where the lady who said the house was haunted said the ghost was. There's like an under the stair little cubby thing down there at the end of the family room, and she said that the ghost was there, which I never really saw a ghost there, but she said the ghost had chains around it, which I thought was silly. That's one of the reasons why I thought it was silly when they told me it was haunted. But I always felt like I was being watched down there when I was working. And then one time, I started walking down the stairs to work, and I heard like what sounded like typing on my computer down there. And so I started walking softer down the stairs, and the light was off. So I went and turned the light on, and when I turned the light on, I didn't hear it anymore. And I looked at the computer. Well, back then, my computer had a screensaver that was like the little fish swimming around if you hadn't touched the computer for a while, and I hadn't worked in like, I don't know, hours. So I thought it was odd that my screensaver was off and it was on the home screen of my computer. Then I was taking a nap on another occasion with my daughter, and at this time she's 4. This was probably the incident that freaked me out the most at the house. So we had just, I don't know if I was asleep yet. I think I was almost asleep, but she had just fallen asleep. And then I had the bedroom door shut, and it was like a cop banging on my bedroom door. It freaked me out. So So I got up and I opened the bedroom door, and outside the bedroom door was like super cold. And I was like, okay, no one's here. My husband's at work, so I'm going to go check the front door because maybe somebody banged on my front door and it just sounded like it came from my bedroom. So I went out to the front door and opened the front door, and no one was there. Then I was like, okay, I have a back door, so I'm going to walk around the house and see if maybe whoever was banged on that door. So I walked a whole entire lap around my house, and there was no one. Went back in, laid back down, shut my bedroom door, and about 5 minutes later, it happened again. I did the same thing. I got up, the hallway was cold, I walked around the house, and nothing. So that happened 3 times, and then the third time, I decided I'm just going to leave my bedroom door a little bit cracked. And so if something bangs on it, I'll see that something's in the hallway. I left the bedroom door cracked, and it never banged on my door again. So I kind of took it as whatever it was didn't want me shutting my door while I took a nap and shutting it out. That's just how I took it. It freaked me out. Then I was working downstairs, I would say 6 months later or so, and my husband was home, and he was taking a nap during the day, and he thought I was crazy about all this. He just kept saying, you're just overreacting, there's nothing wrong with this house, you're fine. So I'm downstairs working, and then he comes running downstairs, like studying, and I'm like, what is going on? And he's like, we need to bless the house tonight. I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, what you said happened in the bedroom on the door just happened to me. We're going to bless the house tonight. I laughed too. When he came downstairs and was like freaking out, I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Did it happen to you? Oh, that's God. Oh, now you believe me.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I totally get it. It's funny. So we blessed the house, and then we hung drink catchers in all the bedrooms, and nothing ever happened again in that house. But I only lived there like another year, but yeah. We finally got it to stop, apparently, which was nice. And then I got divorced and I got remarried, and he had 2 kids. I had 2 kids, and we had a third one together. So we were combining our families together in a rental house. When we first moved in, it was just recently renovated, new paint, new carpet. So I did not get the feeling when we moved in there that there was anything dark or unusual. It felt very welcoming and bright. My office was, so in the house, there's a front room that no one ever knows what to do with. And I made that my office. And then we had a family room behind that, and then the kitchen. And the stairs were in between the kitchen and the living room, and all the bedrooms were upstairs. So I'm just going to say that so it's easy to kind of view everything. The under the stairs storage was right next to where my desk was in that front room. And I noticed on a lot of occasions that door would be wide open, but I hadn't opened it. So I just assumed maybe I was overreacting. Maybe it was the air came on and it wasn't completely latched. I took it as that for the first couple times. Another time, my husband and I didn't usually stay up till 1 in the morning, but for some reason we were watching a really good movie, and we were downstairs watching the movie. We heard what sounded like footsteps running down the hallway, and then pausing, and then running back. Well, my daughter at the time was scared of the dark, and so she would run to the bathroom and then run back to her bedroom at the end of the hallway. So we thought it was her, and then we started thinking, wait, my kids are with my ex, and our 6-month-old son is the only one home. So then we started freaking out, and we went upstairs and checked all the bedrooms and everything, and obviously there was nothing. So that was the first thing that happened that was super creepy. Then him and I started having sleep paralysis on a regular basis, about once a week to sometimes it would be every other day for like 1 week straight. I'd had sleep paralysis before. I just usually had it about once a year, and he'd had it before too. So then we started kind of watching out for each other in the middle of the night. So if someone started having it, we'd try to get them out of it so they weren't so freaked out. That was definitely odd. Then in May, my biological father, who I didn't know super well, took his own life. And I went through a lot of stress because of that, which made me, I feel like, more sensitive. So the sleep paralysis and night terrors seemed to be more frequent, as well as the activity in the house, I noticed, was more frequent, like noises or feeling like I was being watched all the time. So I thought maybe I was just being paranoid from stress and grieving. But I couldn't be completely sure. And then I went to run errands one day and came home, and I know for sure that I shoved it under the spare storage because I couldn't walk past it from my office to the garage if I had it open. You just can't walk past it. And that was wide open. So I thought that was kind of odd, and I checked the whole house. I thought maybe somebody broke in while I was gone. No one was in the house. Another thing that creeps me out is I bought my kids this miniature claw machine from Walmart that as it gets faster, it's a clown theme. It goes da 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 da. But as the claw gets closer to dropping and you're running out of time, it goes faster and faster and faster. So my 6-month-old is upstairs taking a nap. This happened in the middle of the day. And it goes off. I'm down there working at my desk, and I'm kind of freaked out. But I go up there, and I unplug it. I come back downstairs, and I start working again, and it goes off again. And so I call my husband at this point because I'm kind of freaked out. And I make him stay on the phone with me while I go up there, because I told him, like, I unplugged it. And he's like, well, did you check for batteries? And I'm like, oh, well, duh, okay. So I checked, yes, it has batteries. I take the batteries out. And then I go back downstairs and get off the phone with him. And I'm working for about 5, maybe 10 minutes more. And then it goes off again. I called him, and I was freaking out. There's no batteries. It's not plugged in. And I've heard from people maybe it had enough juice for another round of music. I don't know, but that freaked me out hardcore. And my kids also had these Furbies, and I would check on them in the middle of the night sometimes because they started having some nightmares in the house too. And their Furbies would, I mean, I'm sure Furbies are crazy, so they go off by themselves all the time. But also their Furbies would start talking in the middle of the night, and it was like super crazy. Freaked me out a couple times because they talk gibberish. Then my husband and I, because I was grieving and so stressed out, I was not sleeping very well at all. I was scared to go to sleep because I didn't know if I was going to be paralyzed or have a night terror or if I'd hear weird noises in the house. And we separated. So he moved out and I stayed there. And there was banging on the wall on one occasion that banged so loud it shook my entire bed in the middle of the night. On the other side of the bed is my son's room, my 6-month-old son. And he was so young, we had all his clothes in his crib, but his crib wasn't next to a wall, so it couldn't have banged against the wall. And his closet was empty. There was nothing in his closet, which was on the other side of my headboard. So I never could debunk that. Then drawers would randomly open in my bathroom in the middle of the night, or I would hear what sounded like possibly footsteps walking on the linoleum in the bathroom, and I didn't have, anybody there. It kind of stopped for a little bit, and in fall, my mom got sick. She got a cold, and then she was in the hospital, and she passed away after a month. So most of the crazy deaths in my family also happened while I lived in that house, which I wonder, well, I'm not saying it has anything to do with it, but I can't say I haven't wondered. I lived in that house for about 6 months more. Couldn't wait to get out of there. I got some inheritance money from my mom passing away, and I bought a house and moved out. And last minute, they tried to change some paperwork on my house, and I just went through with it anyway because I just wanted the heck out of that house. I ended up leaving my lease a month early to get out of that house. And I have heard, because I had talked to a neighbor that I used to be neighbors with, saying that there's a French family that now lives there. And I can't say I haven't wondered if they kind of experienced similar things in that house, because we never blessed it or anything. We just left. I left as fast as I could. And that's my last story.
That reminds me of people when they talk about how something attaches to them, like a spirit or a you know. Even at the Paranormal Fest, that girl that was like, this demon attached to me.
Yeah, right.
Remember? Like, that's what it reminded me of.
But it's weird how it was like so different. Like at every house.
It was, but it was and it wasn't. It
Right.
was more like, well, yeah. Basically, she was going through the same thing. I know the first house she was talking about. Well, what happened with the first house? Same shit that we run into in almost every story.
Right, yeah.
Same stuff, man.
She's getting dragged and yanked around and stuff like that, and the husband's like, oh.
Just your imagination.
Yeah,
She's got a broken arm and a black eye, you know. It's like, are you sure?
Every
you fall
time.
down? I was like, no, man. I mean, but same thing, right?
Yeah.
And then until that ghost introduces himself to the significant other, which is normally the husband, right?
Yeah.
He tapped his shoulder, hey. Running down, jumping from one floor to the next, missing all the stairs. Honey, we gotta move.
You're gonna leave everything here. Just get out of here.
Yeah, she's looking at him like, dude, I told you, man. But it never fails. I mean, we get so many of these stories. And I guess, yeah, I mean, but then again, too, you have, like, your wife is saying, or your significant other is saying, you know, hey, I saw this little shadow person run across. It looked like a gremlin. So I mean, like, we're strange. So I believe my wife. Where did you see that? When? Should we call it exterminator? But like it is. You know, like seriously, taking that seriously, it is kind of crazy because you're watching that and you're seeing it. So how are you gonna, you know, you're trying to explain it to somebody like, hey, this is what I really did see, you know, and you're trying to convince the other person like, you know, okay, yeah, you know, were you drinking this morning? You know, then that, but like it's crazy because I, you know, more than anything, I can imagine it's more frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah,
that is
right,
more
exactly, that's true.
So, but not only that, she talked about how she was in 2 houses that were haunted, and then how, like, maybe even her house that she's in now, where she heard that, that like she said it was like a bookshelf fall over, and when she ran in there was nothing there. So, this is what's kind of confusing is like, to me, I think that's maybe, I don't know if it's conjuring, because there's so many things that can happen. Like, what do we worry about when we go over there? Corona by our dogs got corona. Yeah. You heard that? They're sneezing.
Yeah, coughing and stuff.
Poor dog.
Because like when we go out and we go do these paranormal fests and people are telling us that, and we're at an actual haunted house and they're doing it on the grounds, we always take our medallions and stuff like that. So we're always worried about that we're gonna bring something back. Okay,
yeah,
so
that is scary.
or you can conjure. We had these stories up where they conjure something up because, you know, either they're going through abuse, they're going through some kind of negativity, maybe mess with a Ouija board, so they got that. So how did this happen with them that they're constantly seeing that?
Right.
So I'm not too sure. Maybe maybe it's something at each house. Maybe you ran into a house that something happened, and maybe she was unfortunate to run into 2 houses or 3 now that something bad happened. But it always in the back of your mind, if you're gonna have 3 times the charm or something like that, you're thinking, well, maybe it's me.
Maybe it's not the house.
Yeah, maybe it's not the house.
Maybe
you
she's
know?
a little more sensitive than she
That-
realizes.
exactly,
Like,
maybe,
like
yeah.
You said same thing with Mom. You know, like ghosts. No matter what house we moved into,
Exactly.
there were always ghosts. You know,
As she
things that
saw,
happened.
yeah.
They found her, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and that's why I think that's why she got into. Actually, we never introduced her.
That's right. This young lady's name is Eve Evans, and she's actually an author of several books, and you can find her books on Goodreads and on Amazon. I think she was saying Voices from Beyond is her most recent book, which is on the Kindle, so you can get on the Kindle. What else was there? One of the other books, actually, yeah, it's Real Ghost Stories, Disturbing Paranormal Stories Based on True Events, is something that she's going to be sending us. She's sending us several books that we're going to try and figure out how to give out to our listeners. Maybe we'll do some sort of I don't know, what is it?
We'll figure it out. Jasmine, when you're done.
Contest.
Got to promote us.
Contest, there you go.
Contest.
I was going to say competition. I was like,
Same thing.
But contest.
A duel.
Yeah, a duel, a jousting.
Yeah. Whoever has the biggest wiener wins. I'm just kidding. So that's terrible.
Oh man.
But no, we seriously do have to get that contest going because Jasmine's she's awesome. She's gonna find something.
You don't have to figure that one out.
Figure it out, yeah. But she's got several books, and some of them look really good. I mean, like I can't wait to read that one. And that was actually her bestseller, I think.
Yeah, she was a bestseller. That was awesome. And then she's got a new one coming out. She said hopefully by the end of April, called Haunted Hotels. That should be awesome. Yeah. That actually sounds cool.
When she was discussing that, I think I had to put my fat 2 cents in. But I was telling her about San Antonio, how we have the awesome, the Minger, the St. Anthony's.
Black Swan.
Yeah, you know, the Texan. You know, that's a motel. Yeah. It's not there. That's where they shot Joe King. But anyway, not Joe King. Yeah, it was Joe Carrasco. But anyway, yeah. So supposedly that one's haunted too. But anyway, she was gracious enough to give us these stories and the book. So, and obviously she's going through the same thing as everybody else. She said that she was supposed to have a book signing, and that everybody's doing their part. So God bless her. That she's doing her part. We're all doing our part. So we're here doing this for y'all, fellas, and we're getting fellas and ladies and gentlemen calling in and giving us, being gracious, giving us their stories. So thank you all so much.
Yeah. Oh,
thank you.
Her books are going to be signed also, so that's
even forgot that. Yeah, autographed. Yes.
Yeah, they're autographed books. Yes. So nice. So.
What better to do than read books and listen to podcasts?
Yeah.
In this ugly time of quarantine.
That's exactly right.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're free porn.
Yeah, porn.
Premium. Don't forget the premium.
Don't forget the porn.
Oh, did we talk about this?
Yeah. First thing, man. Got
to. This is like the intro.
So how are you guys doing on toilet paper?
Man, let's just say 1 square per wipe. That's all I've been hearing.
Man, I found myself sounding like dad a lot. I mean, like yelling at the kids, like, Who in the hell used 6, rolls of 6 little squares of toilet paper? I'm like, no.
We have to earn our squares here.
Did you wash the dishes?
They ain't got no more back pockets here, man. It's pretty soon cutting up sheet times, man.
They're running out of toilet paper, but they ain't running out of underwear, so you can keep buying underwear.
Hey, did you see that text too? When we were texting one time, and Jason, our brother Jason, was he said something about some lady. He saw some old lady sneeze, but her mask went forward. Oh. You could see it like going all the sides and everything. She sneezed so hard it was like going out the sides. He was like, that's just shooting everywhere.
What good's a mask at that point?
Exactly, what good is a mask? I'm like, dude.
That we're saying that because I'm like, man, because there's a proper way to use them. And because like people like me that
it shoots forward though. I don't know.
Yeah. You're gonna have to put some what do they call the bungee cords on there?
Oh shit!
Secure.
The ratchet straps.
But behind your ear. Like that, man, I'm not kidding, man. There's a guy at one of the service centers that I go to. Man, his breath is fucking foul, man.
You need one of those N95s for his breath only.
No, that's what I'm saying is how the fuck can you hang, bro?
It's over your nose too, right?
Yeah, he's got it there. He's and he talks a lot. I'm like, dude, I can get a little closer than the social distancing. But back then, that social distancing wasn't. We just did it because the breath smelled bad, man. It smelled like an outhouse, man. Like, it was fucked, man. Like, he just bit into a ripe piece of shit, like, and he's just talking all calm. And you got bad breath when you can smell it. And I know you smell it, but how are you gonna? Yeah, he did. You smell your breath, and you're talking all calm and shit like that. I'm aware of. See, that's why those flies are around here, right? But yeah, he's just talking all calm. And then he had the mask on, and there's certain places that we got to glove up and put the mask on. But like, man, I saw that, and he was wearing the mask. I was like, dude, man, it's
that's bad,
not pleasant under there, But he'd talk up a storm, though, man. He'd tell you, he'd read you the Gone with the Wind novel, man. And he's still cool up like that. First verse, okay, I'm out. I'm kidding. No, I'm not kidding, but I'm sorry, guys.
Man, those poor dogs.
So the dogs got it, or
the
what?
Corona dogs.
No kidding, man. Oh man, the mask. You know they're talking about shortages on masks. I mean, weren't you the one showing us Jazz a while ago? Like,
jockstrap.
People are using for a mask. Yeah.
It was a cup.
It was a cup.
Yeah. An athletic cup, jockstrap.
Athletic cup, or
it was like the hard one.
The hard plastic. It was upside down. Like you had it.
Yeah, over her mouth.
Oh.
like a jock.
It's a jock strap, but like a hard plastic.
How do you clean that shit, man?
Yeah, she started a whole new virus, right?
Yeah. I'm cool with the coronavirus, but I got herpes all around the shit. Yeah, gross. Get on my nose and around my. Oh, disgusting. Man.
They were using bras too, but.
Underwear. Crazy, man.
Right, I almost came out with my underwear too, but my dad was like, "No, we made you a mask. We made you a mask."
We had to make a mask. And it was funny because we were at Walmart looking for supplies because, man, it was weird. Today was the first day I actually walked into Walmart. And I freaked out. I was like, did I miss something? Because everybody and their mom had a mask on.
Yeah.
I was like, what? I was like, holy cow. I was like, oh, shoot. So, now what do? We run over to the section to go buy some material.
There wasn't a lot left, right?
There was some, but they kept taking them too, though. Like the kids, were like asking the kids, hey, what do you want? Like there was some, what is it? They had all these different characters, characters and stuff like that. But some of them were gone. Like
but the one right here, a lot of the material was gone.
But there was one dude actually. He was like, oh, because we're like, man, you can't find any elastic material, anything. We're looking all over for everything, and he's like, you know what I did? He goes, honestly, he goes, I got some old underwear. He said he used the band though. I thought he was going to use the underwear.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to say use the underwear name, but he's like, use the band though, like for elastic. I'm like,
oh, that's not bad. I guess
like in shoelaces, anything, just tied around, right?
I guess. I'm like, man, I don't know.
Man, the back of my underwear, man, that's about 16.
You can make a mask.
Why the back, right, dude? I don't like those. They don't smell right.
16 masks.
Hey, Rob, didn't you say Tony? You saw something from Tony, or what?
Oh, that was funny as hell.
Cousin.
The stimulus. What was it?
The Trump checks.
Yeah, the Trump checks. He's like, and I did a snap, man. It was April 1st, my stupid ass, right? He sent this thing out saying,
to check the status. Of the stimulus.
There you go. Check the status, and then he said, I'm getting mine on April 7th. And I was like, hey, wait a minute. There's something to
Let
this.
me check.
Yeah, so sure enough, man, and like they called. Somebody else called too. What did they say, man?
Jacob, Mike.
Thank you for calling the so-and-so sex line.
That's messed up.
Yeah, I'm like, man, so you're going to get charged right off the bat for that.
Oh, man, that's messed up, man.
The first 2 minutes of this call are $25.
Yeah, that's where your
the second
stimulus
part
check is going to go.
Thank you for donating your stimulus check.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
That's crazy, man.
That's messed up, man. Because I was all serious, like, oh, here.
Yeah, he sent it to everybody, right? You sent it to everybody?
Yeah, like,
The whole family was calling the hotline.
It was fun as hell, though, man.
Needless to say, half of them stayed on the line for a long
Yeah, I
time.
was like, might as well stay on. They're charging me.
So am I getting a check or what?
Not anymore. That's crazy, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to come in handy for some folks. I know.
The hotline?
Yeah, that too, man.
And this time of quarantine.
Quarantine times, man.
So how about if we go into the story? Who is it? What's his name again?
His name is Lopaka. The first name, I really wish I could pronounce the second name. This guy had some awesome stuff. And
from Hawaii?
Yes, from Hawaii. And, man.
Have we gotten any from Hawaii yet?
No, that's the first one. That's the first one.
I don't remember hearing any.
And this guy, he brought the heat on it. Both of his stories were really good, but the last one, you gotta hear it all the way through, and just at the end is where you realize where he's going with it. Dude, it's both stories are awesome. And he's the culture, the legends that they have there, folklore, everything's really cool. I mean, he came with the heat, man. He brought a lot of good stuff there. Man. Without further ado, right?
So what does with further ado even mean? Like further ado?
I don't know.
The pozole got you.
Here we go, fellas.
My name is Lopaka Kapanui. I own a company in the Hawaiian Islands called Mysteries of Hawaii. It's a ghost tour basically, but what I also do, and I don't advertise, is I have a group that I started called the Grant Society. That's GRANT, and it stands for Ghost Research and Native Teachings. And the short version of this story is that about 10 years ago, I began to run into a lot of young people who had different levels of psychic abilities that they didn't know what to do with, didn't know what it was, and it got to the point where some of them were disowned by their family. And one poor guy, because his mom didn't understand that he had the gift of clairvoyance, thought he was possessed and went to take him to the church to have an exorcism, and when it didn't work, she disowned him. And some of these other younger people who have psychic sensibilities don't know what it is, have no support at home. They end up, becoming substance abusers. So the short story is, when I would meet these people, I would sort of help them understand that, what they had was just a natural thing. They weren't going to go to hell. They're not possessed by the devil. And so as I began to help them develop, the understanding for their psychic abilities, I began to get calls also for people to, for me to come to people's houses and do cleansings and blessings. And in between that, we would have to sort of do an investigation. And that's when I would let these people come along and employ their psychic abilities first before we use the equipment, the thermal heat meters, the recorders, and all of that. So our very first investigation was on the west side of the island, and a family was having problems in their home, and there were a lot of unexplained things that were happening. Furniture would move around the house while they were watching TV. When they go upstairs to go to sleep or, go change their clothes, the dresser drawers would be open, clothes would be thrown all over the place. And what made it scary for them is that there were these unexplained footprints, childlike footprints, walking up the wall, on the ceiling, all over the house. And so when I did some research, I found out that the neighborhood where this area is on the west side of Honolulu, in ancient times, was an old fishing village. And the fishermen in that village erected a shrine, the Hawaiians call and you pray to the shrine for an abundance of fish. But in this village were also menehune that would come at night. And the menehune in our culture are the people who are maybe about 3-4 feet tall. They're fully formed human beings. They've been known to be here even before the first Polynesians migrated to what is now Hawaii. And they're known to only come out at night. They build these awesome structures in one night, and then they leave. And if they're seen, they stop what they're doing, and the structure isn't finished. And so a lot of times, when people build a house or a business on a place where menehune used to live, or still living, there's certain things they have to do, certain kinds of food they have to give them. And so with this family, I told them, if you leave out this certain type of banana and a certain type of shrimp and a particular kind of fish, then you should be fine. So this is exactly what the family did, and they didn't have any more problems. The psychic ability part of the Grand Society, the second they walked into the door, they were dumbstruck because this energy that they said was so potent and it was so strong. It literally felt like 1,000 hands holding them back from coming into the house. That's one story. Another story is I get called a lot, like I said, to do house blessings and cleansings, and I would say about 8 years ago, I was called to another home on the west side, and nice Hawaiian couple, but they asked me if I performed exorcisms, and I said I don't. And I gave them the number to a couple of people who I knew did exorcisms. And so the couple called me about 6 months later and said they called the pastors and the priests that I recommended, and they said those gentlemen were very antagonistic and tended to scold them a lot and berate them. And they found out that the exorcism process, according to what they were told, probably takes about 6 months to a year because there's so much red tape. And so they were at their wits' end, and they asked me if I would just come to the house and just talk to their daughter because they believed she was possessed. And I kept telling them, I'm not an exorcist, it's not what I do. But they said, maybe if you just talk to her. And so I went. And when I got to the house, like I said, nice older Hawaiian couple, but very, very nervous. And we were standing in the kitchen, and they pointed up the stairs, and they said, the first landing at the top of those stairs, the door to the left, that's our daughter's room. And so as I'm walking up the stairs, I look back, and I notice they're not coming with me. So I'm like, okay. And I knocked at the door opens. Pretty Hawaiian girl, maybe about in her early 20s, just opens the door, sits on her bed, and, she's working on her laptop, and there's this awkward silence that I finally asked her, so your parents tell me they think you're possessed or something. And she looks at me and she says, yeah. And then silence again. And so it's getting awkward. And I asked her, so why would your parents think you're possessed? And she sits up in her bed, and with her right hand, she sort of motions around her room, like the entire circumference of her room. And she's showing me. And I didn't notice it at first, but what she's showing me is that her entire room, the wallpaper, posters, the ceiling, the curtains, the bed sheets, the pillow covers, it's all from that movie Twilight. And she's got all the books. And I said, wait, so are you trying to say your parents think you're possessed because you're into the Twilight thing? And she says, yeah. And, the other thing. And I told her, I don't mean to be intrusive, but what do you mean the other thing? She said, I also came out to them. I said, oh. And then I apologized. I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that. So I told her, I gave her my business card. I said, listen, anytime you want to get together and talk, doesn't have to be about this stuff. Just, you want to talk, my wife and I can meet you, and you could say whatever's on your mind. And she said, that's fine. Thanks very much. And I introduced myself. And she introduced herself as Sienna. I said, well, hello, Sienna. She said, nice to meet you, Lopaka. So I went downstairs to the kitchen. The parents were nervous. And the father asked me right away, is everything okay? Did she physically assault you? Was there a foul odor in the room? Were things floating around? And I said, no, everything's fine. I said, everything is perfectly fine. I said, your daughter's a perfectly normal girl, and I think maybe you need family counseling. I said, there's nothing wrong with Sienna. The mom physically pushes her husband out of the way, and like she's in my face, and she's wrapped my collar around her hand, and she says to me, no, you don't understand. The thing that's possessing our daughter, that's Sienna. Our daughter's name is Carolyn. So I turned around and looked up the stairs, and that girl is standing outside her room. Just this look in her face was like she was going to kill me. That look in her eyes, man, it stays with me sometimes. I actually dream about it. I've never seen that look in a person's eyes before. And she closed the door, and the door just shuts gently. And from where her bedroom door is, the wall going down the stairs to the kitchen, just that one part of the house just goes, it shakes, just like that. And so everybody who knows me, knows I'm not rattled pretty easy, but I think I actually screamed like a girl in that part. So I got a hold of a couple of Hawaiian, we call them kahuna, priests to talk with this family, but I also recommended family counseling as well. I called a friend of mine who's what we call a kahuna, and a couple of professional psychologists and counselors. She's better now, and what I found out is there are these, and you probably had this experience too. You probably have it. These paranormal teams just pop up out of nowhere, and they want to do everything they see on TV. This one team, I found out through the grapevine, they found this website from this guy who claimed to be a radical. Like, he claims he was kicked out of the Vatican by the Pope because he was studying to be an exorcism and his methods were too radical. And so he had this website where if you gave him $1,500, within a weekend, you take his online course, you'll be an exorcist by Sunday and get your certificate on Wednesday. And so I found out this team, as well as doing investigations, would do an exorcism whether the people asked for it or not. So apparently that's kind of what they did at this person's house, but because they didn't really know what they were doing, rather than exercising whatever, they actually summoned it.
Oh, wow.
When everybody's back on track, our website is mysteries-of-hawaii.com. We also have a Facebook fan page called Mysteries of Honolulu, and we're on Instagram under Mysteries of Hawaii.
Man.
Whew, that was awesome, dude.
Yeah, that's cool, Hawaii.
Did those those 4 feet guys that build the structures that remind you of duendes? To me, it did.
Yeah, it kind of did.
It might be something different over there, but I mean,
that's like the Hawaiian version of duendes. And then what? If you guys don't know, what duendes? Am I saying it right?
Yeah, culture. That's a Mexican.
Yeah, it's a Mexican culture. Yeah,
little elves or whatever they are, little.
But they were mischievous. Gremlins. They were good and they were bad. It was like the good, bad, and the ugly, almost, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. One was Lee Van Cleave. One was Eli Wallach, and the other one was Clint Eastwood. So yeah, but it's crazy because they said like if you interrupted them, they didn't finish the structure, and by all means, I'm not gonna.
Let them finish.
Yeah,
build that house.
But not only that, they said like if you don't, if you disrespect them, man, it's worse than a Chicano with a knife, man. Yeah, they'll come and they'll bite your kids. That's what he said.
Bite your kids?
Yeah, they had little teeth marks on the little.
It makes me want to learn so much more about like, Hawaiian culture,
matter.
man. Like, right. That seems interesting, man.
Dude, I bet they know how to party, right?
Man, that's what I was thinking. Like, I want to just hang out with these guys.
Right? I mean, I actually got a little bit of goosebumps thinking about it. Like, man, they know how to feast.
Oh my God, yeah.
And they know how to drink that. Oh,
man, and then you're right there by the ocean, too.
Yeah, man.
You got a pig on the spit right there. And you got right there
whole pig
on the beach, man. And the whole pig.
And then somebody will frown because they see like a fish. But like, I bet if you eat that fish right there, sweet Jesus, I bet it's something like butter.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, yeah.
And then all the wine and all that, man, because that's true, man. And then you got those fires going, and you're looking at the ocean. You got that pig roasting, and you got. I don't mean to be. I don't know if it's a pig, man. They're looking at me like, what the fuck are you talking about, man?
Are we a paranormal podcast?
Yeah, no, that's
we're a food podcast.
Yes,
let me teach you all about Wagyu.
Well, I don't mean the stereotype. I'm just saying it'd just be nice to be by the fire, you know.
Especially right now, man.
But at a beach.
To party on that beach like that, and just man. Well, that's what it is, right? The luau's, like when they have, I don't know if that's still going on, and I don't mean to be, but like, man, I'd love to go to one.
Jeez,
seriously. You say they just, I could just see the people over there at the party. You see that pig over there? That's why we got no boiled pig over here. You just see me picking my teeth. Well, you should have made it so delicious.
You should be cooking little pigs.
The big ones, more than one.
We couldn't roast a whole fucking cow, sir.
But the last story.
Honestly, awesome. I thought her parents were just assholes. I was like, let her be gay, like Twilight.
This is 2020, fellas, you know.
Well, honestly, if I have any kid that likes Twilight, I'm going to think there's something wrong with them. Honestly, man, come on.
Just because it's a terrible movie.
Twilight.
Other than that, you know.
Okay, wait, never mind. I was thinking of the Twilight Zone. But,
no, Twilight Zone.
But either way, still, like...
Sparkly vampires, bro? Come on. Come on.
Yeah, and then they fall in love and they never drink blood. I was like, that's not a vampire. Well, yeah, he does, but only bad people.
Dracula is ashamed.
Did you see Twilight? No, I didn't. So I don't know.
You know.
Dad, you know.
You're a Jacob fan.
You have the book and
you're Team Jacob.
What team were you? Come on.
Jacob. Wasn't he the dog boy, the wolf?
The dog boy? Yeah. He's a doggo. He's a pill, the rabbit pill.
Come here, boy. More than me. No, boy. He's
all about Team Edward versus Team Jacob.
But man.
But come on. We're trying to be realistic. A vampire that's what? Hundreds of years old. Well, I don't know. He looked young for 100 years old, but
that's the thing with vampires. They don't age.
But then he fell in love with that flat-chested bitch right there. I was like, come on, she's got nothing. Not because of the boobies, but she's
come on,
I beg your pardon. But yeah, she was flat-chested like a motherfucker, man. But I got more tit than her.
I was waiting for that. I swear I was waiting for that.
But what I'm saying is, in every movie, she's always pissed off about something, and the vampire's already mad. He's like,
wait, so you have seen?
I don't know.
You have seen it?
I guess no. I've seen previews.
Well, you gotta come on.
Hey,
where's your man card? Where's your man card?
Rob's room looks just like hers.
Yeah.
The Twilight posters.
You're just mad because she dated him. I was like, what has he got that I don't got? So. Going back, I'm sorry, guys.
He has like a, I don't even know what to call it, like a thing, right? Like the Grant, what was it, the Grant Society or the...
Yeah, Grant Society.
That cool?
Yeah, right? That's cool,
yeah,
man.
because he was saying, like, I guess the way he explained it is, like, a lot of people don't understand, like, if you got that, you know, there's people born that they're sensitives or they, I don't know how to call them properly. Because I don't know what to call them nowadays. You know, they're always changing. They got a gift, I guess. They can see things.
Gifted,
yeah. And so I guess there's a lot of traditional, like it's just like Mexico, man. Back in the, you know, like if you got these traditional people, they feel like maybe you're either possessed or you got a gift from the devil, or and he's trying to educate people that that's not the case. These people have an actual gift. It's not their fault that it happened to them. So he's taking them in and showing them how to use their gift. And
that's real cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. That he can do that. That he took the time to do that.
I like what he mentioned too about how we probably ran into this too. Like they think you're like a ghost hunter right away, or you do.
Oh my god, yes. The
Because
first
people ask us stuff like that, like, "Oh, you guys are ghost hunters."
What it more was is like, you have the ghost hunting team.
Mm-hmm.
How do we do it? We joke around, we drink, but we talk about this guy's story that he's telling us, everybody's story. And we do take that very seriously. We joke around like crazy because we get scared, but a paranormal team, if you go, how do you say, if you're on TV, you're looking for ratings. If you're a paranormal team, and especially like you're on Facebook or something, you want a good story to give back to people. That's not necessarily what happened. Or it's just like the Great Mountain. Remember?
Right.
That he was telling us, people are coming over here and they're saying there's a demonic. There's no demonic here. It's an old lady who passed away who loved her home. Everything that comes out is more positive than negative. Well, this is kind of the same case here. Like you can't. I don't want to say that either because we have friends that are involved with that, but there may be some paranormal teams that do go that route. I'm not saying all of them. I'm saying there may be some. So. It's hard to say, but I hear what you're saying, but people who are innocent like that, it's kind of, and to put them down as negative like that, that's not cool either, so.
So what you're telling me is, I'm sorry, the only thing I got out of that is, taxes only after ratings? It's tax. I thought they were actually. Come on, man.
I mean,
Rob. Look what happened. They split up as a team.
I mean, just like what he mentioned.
Tax, though.
Yeah,
they're the real OGs.
Well, you know what? That's why it was so boring because they were trying to get to the truth. We did hear towards the end that they did have kind of a little falsification.
Right.
Wait, really?
That's right.
Like, actually, I stopped watching for a long time.
Well, I hate to say it too, but nowhere near as that drama queen from the other one. Get out of my mind! And then there's poor Aaron with the film.
Frank.
Oh my God, I'm running! And like, it's like.
Was that Ghost Adventures?
I didn't want to say it, but since you brought it up.
Well, no, bleep it out. Bleep it out. He did say names, though.
I didn't say Aaron. There's how many Aarons are there? But poor Aaron, his eyes are always wide. Like, am I getting fired? Am I getting fired? I'm playing it wrong, right? Yeah. Like, so shut up, bro. Anyway, this is that last one was a doozy.
That last one was awesome. Yeah.
We haven't had one like that in a while.
It was awesome, man.
So, man, if by any chance you're out in Honolulu, Mysteries of Hawaii, man, you gotta check them out.
West side of the island, go check that place out.
They do they do ghost tours and stuff. Although you can't do them right now. It says they're temporarily closed on their website, but. But man, I mean, when they come back up, check them out. If not, you can check them out.
It sounds awesome, man. It sounds like they got a lot of cool places. And not only that, just for the beautiful scenery. I'd be a total tourist with the big ad.
Oh,
the Bermudas and the big ass camera, man.
Yeah.
Where are the ghosts? Where's the food? So no, but it just seems like it'd be totally awesome. Hopefully one day, man, I get to meet this guy.
That'd be cool. Man.
Okay, seemed like a cool dude. It did seem like Kory was saying, somebody you might want to just hang out with.
Yeah, just to chill and drink it, man. I don't even care about going on this tour. Let's have a few beers and talk about it, man.
I bet he got a load of stories, man. So. But thank you so much, Lopaka, and I can't wait to have you back on, brother.
For sure.
Right on. What do we do? Should we head on to the Ian segment?
I need to sober up. I'm starting to slur my words and stuff.
The mask comes off.
Put it back on.
All right, let's see what I've got for y'all today.
It's time for
Sobering Thought.
Today's Sobering Thought segment is about Schrodinger's cat. Schrodinger's cat is a thought experiment posed by somebody by the name of Schrodinger. I'm sorry, I forgot to find out his last name. And it illustrates a fundamental quantum mechanics principle known as superposition. So to start off with, let's just get right into the thought experiment itself, and it goes more or less as follows. A cat is placed in a steel chamber with a Geiger counter that contains a tiny radioactive substance, small enough that in the time frame of 1 hour, one of the atoms might decay, with an equal probability that an atom will not decay. Also in the steel chamber is a hammer that is set to shatter a flask with hydrocyanic acid, which, in case you don't know, is a very poisonous substance. So basically, if one of the atoms decays, the cat will be poisoned and die, and if one of the atoms does not decay, the cat will not be poisoned and will live. So, is the cat alive or is the cat dead?
Dead.
No, I think he's alive.
Undead.
So the cat didn't have a fucking choice in this, or?
Unfortunately, no.
Well, okay, so
was it just a regular house cat?
It doesn't matter.
Okay,
just
well,
any
is it an
kind.
expensive cat?
I just wanted to get y'all's input on what y'all thought. According to superposition, like if it worked at a larger scale, like with cats, the cat would be simultaneously alive and dead until it is observed. And once it's observed, it is either alive or dead. In the original thought experiment, it wasn't asked if the cat was alive or dead, because actually, well, let me back up even more. Usually, whenever I see Schrodinger's cat explained, it's usually in a work of fiction, and it's usually accompanied with the question, is the cat alive or dead? And that's usually to get to the punchline, which is that the cat is both alive and dead at the same time. And this is something that, like, I guess, like, some people will say, like, is kind of like a way to think about alternate timelines or alternate realities or universes or whatever. So that, like, for example, if once you open the box and if the cat's alive, then that means there's another alternate reality where the cat is dead. But actually, in Schrodinger's original thought experiment, his point wasn't to prove that the cat could be considered both alive and dead at the same time. Rather, his point was to prove that what he felt was a significant flaw of the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics, which states that there are many states a particle can take until they interact with other particles, at which point they collapse down into a single state. So in other words, there's like one they could be one of many ways, but then once they're observed or once they interact with another particle, they become only one of those states. Additionally, he felt that the idea that an observer could change the reality of a particle's state simply by observing was also absurd. Modern experiments have shown quantum superposition to hold true with smaller things like electrons and other like small particles. So while this thought experiment was originally intended to prove the absurdity of the idea of superposition, it still works as a way to illustrate the concept at a molecular level, from what I can understand at least. Additionally, I think it could also work great as an explanation for how alternate universes and realities, if they exist, might be viewed in relation to one another, which is also related to an idea that I'll be discussing for the next sobering thought segment, which I hope will be interesting, but for this segment, that's pretty much all I've got. So, questions, thoughts, concerns, if there's anything that doesn't make too much sense, let me know.
Can you explain everything?
Yeah. Layman's terms?
Yeah, okay.
Only thing I gotta know is, like, how can it be alive and dead at the same time?
That's what I'm saying.
Alternate universes.
Is it sleeping and you go... No, I'm not. I'm totally serious.
Yeah.
I just assume nothing happened to it, and they're just like, it's dead and alive.
Right.
Nothing really happened to it.
So
right.
Then,
Well,
I mean... Okay, but then why even do it if you don't know what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
mean,
That's
So
why
the way I get it is like almost on this timeline, okay, the cat is dead, but on this timeline, the cat's alive, right? Like alternate.
yeah.
how would you
Depends
know?
on what you observe
Yes.
at that exact precise moment.
Yeah.
And
What the answer is going to be.
yeah.
Or what the outcome is going to be.
Right.
Basically,
So
like,
it could've
just like
took
reality.
A or B, and then like, so it could have took one of the. So that's in just like everyday life that could happen.
Right,
then.
exactly. That's
Right.
pretty much what it is.
Yeah, so that's what people today when they talk about Schrodinger's cat experiment, that's kind of the point that they're trying to make, is that the cat is both alive and dead at the same time, because we don't know until we open it up.
You know what?
This
Oh, sorry,
guy, he's
cut you off.
going back with the Mandela.
Oh,
Mandela effect.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Hey,
Trunks time travel.
Yeah,
Sometimes-
I like it too, but that's because you never know, because they're always saying, yeah, like say like if I took a left turn, but what if I went to the right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, yeah, sometimes
it can affect your future.
Like, so because I don't know, I like to think a lot about stupid shit that don't matter. But sometimes I'm like, what if this would have happened and I'm so dramatic. Like, what if I got into a crash and then like there's
Thomas
alternate...
J. Henry hooked you up?
No, but like there's alternate, like I just died. And so in one reality I died, like in a different reality I died.
Are you went
but
left
I'm
and
still
you
living.
just made it home just to make a baked potato? You know? I understand. Yeah.
If you made the other turn, you would have been a billionaire. You went home and
the other term is where I'm at now.
Maybe not as dramatic as life and death, but a baked potato or not a baked potato.
Right. Yeah. A baked potato or a steak, you know.
That's pretty dramatic.
So that's what that's basically talking about there.
Yeah. So Schrodinger's intention was not that. His intention was like, guys, come on, that's stupid. How can the cat be alive and dead at the same time? Yeah, well, so his point was like, if this doesn't work at the macro level, at the level with people and creatures, whatever, how is this possible that it could work at a molecular level with atoms and particles and string or whatever? So his whole point was to prove how absurd the idea of superposition was, but as it turns out, that we found out that is true. But in terms of like explaining a real actual phenomena, it doesn't work at our level. It only works at the molecular level as an explanation.
Oh, okay.
That's my understanding.
You know what? That's what we need to do. That's gonna be the next one, right?
Put a cat in a box?
No, start it on fire, see what happens. No, I'm just kidding. No, we'd never do that. No, we wouldn't. No, serious. But no, I'm just saying the next one would be like, because it seems like we're always talking about like, well, the last one was about the black hole and the Hadron super collider.
Yep.
And then, but this week, and then we've been into the
everything already.
Well, Nelson Mandela.
Mandela
that was
effect.
badass too. So maybe we should get down to the nitty gritty,
Which is
alternate timelines. If there is an A and a B, maybe even a C.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we see.
Well, not to give too much away, but next segment, I am going to talk about the idea of how there is potential proof that there is another universe out there, alternate universes, and that we may have interacted with one in the past. That's the next segment.
You know what? I'm almost.
We're getting close. I knew it. Oh, sweet Jesus!
That's kind of the direction this is going.
We're probably rich in our alternate.
Yeah, I know that. I'm starting to believe that I can go to the bar, get fucked up, and listen to Ian's Sobering Thoughts and make it home. I'm just saying, they sober me up, dude.
No shit, right? Because they get you to start thinking, right? Like, okay, let me see if this is not too much of a stupid question.
Yeah.
If I put a bag of popcorn for like 4 minutes instead of 3, how many burnt kernels will I have?
And in alternate universe, will it be good?
I'm kind of intimidated to ask. I'm just like, you know what? Fucking, I'm gonna ask, man. Because
I know. I think it's stupid too, but
because I think I know what
like
he's talking about.
it's a stupid question to ask because I'm like,
I know what he's talking about. Oh no,
but we didn't go to college, okay?
I didn't learn. I learned about mathematical superposition, which is kind of the same idea, but it's just.
I don't even know what a molecule is. I'm just kidding. I know. I'm just kidding.
I don't know.
I'm just kidding.
My sisters are learning about
I think they pulled out of my kidney the other day. No, but you know what, man? We are super blessed to have somebody that knows, that has some sensors up there, man. Me, I got plenty of fat, but
a fat brain.
Yeah, there's a lot of air up there, something up there.
And so I looked up the guy's name real quick too, Mr. Schrodinger. His name is Erwin Rudolph Joseph Alexander Schrodinger.
There you go.
You think he's Russian?
Because he's in multiple universes.
Right? He's Vienna, Austria. He was born in Vienna, Austria.
He's a Vienna sausage.
He died in 1961.
So he's probably Rudolph in one universe, and another one he might be Erwin. Joseph in a different one.
Here's the interesting tidbit too is actually he got a letter after publishing that thought experiment. He got a letter from Einstein saying like, dude, you're brilliant. This is the best way to show why superposition is stupid.
From Einstein.
Generally, it boiled down to that.
They were all ahead of their time.
He said, "Go fuck yourself." I know what I'm talking about, bitch.
Why don't you call Rudolph? You're talking to Joseph.
I never.
My alternate. Talk to my alternate.
Yeah.
I am gonna need another beer.
I'm sober. I'm seriously sober. With all these cans in front of us, I'm sober.
Time to grab another.
I think so. Hook me up.
Yeah, I'll be back. Anyone else?
Ian,
No,
awesome job,
thank
man. You never disappoint, man. It just, damn, man, I wish I was smarter.
Yeah, you gotta do a picture book for us next time. Stuffy.
One of those pop-ups.
That's a go to the children's publisher.
We're all excited because the pop-up movie's coming up.
Oh. Dr. Seuss.
How did you do that?
Dr. Seuss on the Hadron Collider.
Yeah.
It goes fast, it goes boom here. No, but that was awesome, man. Shit. I cannot wait till that next one comes up because I am sure it's going to be awesome.
Thank you.
We got a story that...
Yeah, haunted high wheel bike.
That's the one, the high wheel bike.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
It's a good story, man.
You know, I got a really good story to tell you. There was a lady that actually came into our shop about 2 or 3 years ago. She was an older woman, probably like in her 70s. And she lived over there by Nimitz Middle School, which is Blanco and like Bassey area, somewhere over there. And she said, I mean, it sounds funny, but she said, hey, you know, I've got a mansion in my backyard, and we're selling the property, and there's still some stuff inside the property. So if y'all are interested, y'all are welcome to come by and check it out. So I was like, heck yeah, you know. And so we went over, and I told Crystal, I said, babe, you know, I'm from the whole area. You know, I went to school in that area, you know. It was right by Robert E. Lee, and I was like, I've never heard of anybody having a mansion in their backyard. I mean, it's all urban area, you know, it's just all houses and apartments and stuff. So we went over there, and the lady had just kind of, which was kind of very strange. She had like this dilapidated house that she was kind of taking care of. And so we were like kind of skeptical at that moment. You know, we were like, okay, we don't see no mansion. And so we went to the front door, we knocked there, and she said, are y'all ready? And we said, yeah, sure. So she got her little cane, and we went down this long, narrow driveway, and we ended up in the back of her property where, sure enough, there was this big mansion, you know, and it was just made of all these unique stones that the lady told me that the builder had brought from Mexico, from these old historical buildings that I guess they had knocked down in the, you know, early 1900s or something. And so no stone was alike, but they built this huge building. And we went in there, and there was like a lot of still art books and art. There was even a sleigh that, you know, I guess like horses would pull, and it was from up north somewhere. We were just finding a lot of stuff. We were just picking up a lot of stuff. But in the front room, she had this bike that was a high wheel bike. It was really cool looking. I'd never really seen one before. And I asked the man about it, her, I guess like partner or something, and he had said that he would sell it, but we had to get the other stuff out of the house first. So that was our goal. And right at the end, you know, we ended up making a deal, and he put the bike in the deal, and I was very excited about it. So we took the bike back to the shop. You know, I got it for a good deal, and so I thought, you know, heck, if I sell it for $500, you know, I'm gonna make some good money on it. And a friend of mine came and said, hey, Julio, what are you going to sell this bike for? And I said, well, you know, $500. And he says, oh, no, you're giving that bike away. And I said, oh, yeah. He said, yeah, man, that bike's worth a lot of money. And so I said, well, what makes you think so? And he said, well, there's a tag underneath the handlebars. And so, you know, we took the bike out. We're kind of looking at it in the sunlight. We got a loop, like a jewelry loop, and we're kind of trying to read the name. And the name said Pope Manufacturing Company, Buffalo, New York, 1874. And so I was like, wow. And he said, yeah, no, this bike's worth a lot of money, Julio. You better do some research. So I did some research and found out that the bike was worth like between $5,000 and $20,000. And I knew at my shop nobody would give me that kind of money or even close to it. So we ended up taking it home. I mean, it was a museum type piece, you know, everything. It still had the nickel plated silver on it, and the seat was in really good shape. The bike was in really good shape. So me and my wife ended up taking it home, and we hung it up on the ceiling so just kind of everybody could see it. And we noticed that when we brought it home, it was kind of like we would hear these thumps or bumps. I remember one night we were all going to bed, and we heard my son's Legos, like his box, get picked up and you know, kind of thrown. And we knew it all kind of, started happening when we brought the bike home. And so my wife, she kind of was creeped out by it, but I really liked it because, again, it was like a museum type piece. And she says, hey, if anybody comes into the shop looking for a bike like this, let's sell it. So I was all for it. And so just kind of ironically, a guy came in a couple of weeks later. He's very eccentric. He had like a little bolo hat, round glasses like Ozzy. He had a cane. He had long hair. He was just really eccentric, a really awesome guy. And he had asked if we had any high wheel bikes, and I said, yeah, I have one. And so he was really excited. He wanted to see it. And so I told him it was at my home. And a couple of days later, he came by the shop, and he was riding this 1948 Roadmaster with a motor, and it was working. It was beautiful. And he said if I was willing to trade him, and I told him, I said, no, I with all due respect, your bike's probably worth about $1,000, $1,500, but my bike's, worth some money. And so he was like, oh, well, I want to see it. So I said, yeah, sure, I'll take you to see it. And so on the way to go see the bike, he says, so why do you want to sell this bike? I told him, well, I don't want to sell the bike, but my wife wants to sell it because she thinks it may be haunted. And so he was really wanting to see the bike after that. And sure enough, I brought him to my house, and I let him see the bike, and he fell in love with it right away. He says, well, what do you want for it? And so I told him, well, I want $5,000 for it, because I really like the bike. And so he said, well, it's a little rich for me, but I'll give you a call back in a couple of days. And I said, okay. And, I thought that was the end of the deal. I thought I'd never see him again. But sure enough, about 3 or 4 days later, he ended up calling me and says, hey, I really like that bike, and, I want to ride it, and I've got to do some work to it. I got to restore it. Would you consider $3,000? And I was, yeah, hell yeah. And my wife says, I really like his bike. And he says, well, heck, I'll throw in the bike too. So then my wife was really for the deal. And so was I, And so he came to the house, and I took the bike down, and he took the bike. He gave us the cash. And as he got on it, he realized that he was a little too short for the bike. So he was like, uh-oh. But we had already made the deal, and he said, well, you know what, I'll figure something out. And because he was a little bit short. And so I want to say about a year later, he ended up calling me and saying, hey, you know what, that bike is kind of strange. My animals gravitate toward it, and it's just, he had chickens, like pet chickens and stuff. He was very eccentric. And he said, my chickens gravitate toward it. They like to sleep on it and perch on it at night. He says, but hey, good news. American Pickers called me up and said that they'd be interested in looking at that bike because he had contacted them. And I was all for it. And he said, but, they said that, I'd have to do this and I'd have to do that. And I wasn't really comfortable with it. So then they kind of passed on me. And I said, oh, well, that's too bad. It'd be cool to see that bike on American Pickers. About maybe 6 months later, he calls me back and says, hey, Julio, guess what? American Pickers is going to come over to my house, and they do want to see the bike. And I said, well, awesome. That's great. That's great. And later on, sure enough, when American Pickers came to San Antonio, they went to his house, and they bought the bike that we ended up selling him. And so now, I don't know if American Pickers knows, but, they bought a haunted bike, and that was a bike that we found, on one of our hunts.
Man, have one of those bikes, that'd be awesome, man.
Yeah, but I mean, I imagine it wouldn't be easy. Do you gotta get certified to ride one of those things?
Yeah, I know, all right, that's true.
How
do you get on those things? That's just it.
Yeah, right. I mean, because those bikes were they've been around for a long time, right? Late 1800s? What would you say? Or early 1900s?
I mean that.
No, 1800s. Yeah. Because he said that was from 18 something.
Right,
like 1890 something.
1884 or something like that. 1894. I can't remember.
So then you would have to go to the saloon roof, get off on the overhang, and then climb on the bike because it's leaning against. Right? Because how the fuck do you get on that bike?
Right.
I imagine the same way you get on an elephant when you want to ride an elephant.
Actually,
but the elephants, don't they? Yeah,
they'll get down for you.
No, the American Pickers, or is that what it is? American Pickers, or that's. funny. I remember they bought one of those bikes, and he was actually showing how to get on one though.
Really?
Oh man, I gotta watch that.
And I remember Mike. I guess the
Mike, the skinny guy, because the fat guy's got to be the one pushing him up.
Yeah,
Man.
Frank.
Frank, I'm sorry, Frank.
Sorry
about the bike up.
No, but I thought I don't remember how. I think you had to push it. And I think you put your foot on the pedal, one of the pedals, and you have to just climb on it as it's rolling.
Oh, wow.
And you have to
Pick
try and
you
do
up.
it quick. I think I might be wrong, but I thought that's what he was doing. It's been a while since I've seen that up there.
Yeah, that's.
But it's like tricky to get on there.
I picture them being so much bigger, I think, than they actually are because they said they had it hung on their ceiling.
Yeah,
So it can't be humongous.
Yeah, that unless they had a tall ceiling. Or
That's
something.
true. They had a mansion in their backyard.
You know, when I passed that place the other day, it didn't really look that tall, but it's crazy though. I mean, even though we're exaggerating about the 2 stories, but it's still a hard bike to. Come on, seriously, picture somebody like me trying to get on that. There's no way, man. I mean,
I had trouble getting on a normal bike sometimes.
It's like a normal, you know, that has to get on there. It's still difficult for them, man. That's crazy. My thing is, how or what got that bike
haunted?
Yeah, what haunted that bike? What was the cause that it got? Well,
he didn't really say much about it or like the haunting of the bike.
There was an attraction for like animals to it and stuff, or something like a, right? Like
chickens really liked it apparently.
I mean,
it might have had some seeds inside of it or something, and it left inside the frame.
Chickens gravitated towards it. It was like. Yeah, churches. I think churches bought it, right? They just put it outside.
Oh man!
That's how you get the extra fresh chicken.
Oh man! But that's what I'm saying. I mean, because really, wasn't there like noises or something coming in from? I could be wrong. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong about that. But like, his wife had a certain feeling about the bike also.
Yeah, she felt something, right, Jess?
Yes, sorry.
Even the new owner said there was something weird about it, so it's got to be. I kind of wish we could have found out what.
He got a good deal though. I mean, he got $3,000 and another motorcycle.
Oh man, yeah, the other bike he got was pretty badass. I was looking it up too. It looked pretty nice. Yeah. It was motorized too. Yeah, so
that's cool.
That's just the thing right there too. I was wondering, how something like that could get haunted.
An overly attached owner.
Yeah, like maybe, they use those for like circuses, right, and stuff like that. Like,
just like a fucking stuck-up bike owner. Like,
with my hat,
my wheel's bigger than
yours. Oh, look at your tiny wheel.
Oh no, sir, hold on to the both handles at the same time. But I can't tip my hat to the ladies. Yes.
I can see that. Some people wearing they wear the suits and like the whole nine. I mean, back in the 1800s.
It's like
fancy shoes.
Yeah, where are you going? I'm going to ride
long
my
leg,
bike.
Mr. Long Leg.
I mean, back then that's what it was. They had the vest and the bow tie and all the whole 9 yards.
The big hat.
The big hat. Oh, don't forget your big hat.
The monocle.
Bike ride without
the
that.
Monocle.
His pocket watch gets caught in the bike chain and shit.
It's like, how do you ride a bike like that, though, man? That's just it. Like,
we all gotten stuck in the bike chain every once in a while with our pants and shit.
Man, I remember that as a kid, man, you're riding all cool, man. And all of a sudden, like,
your whole leg goes in front of the pole. Yeah, I've been there, man.
Hey, your pant leg is just stuck in there, man. You're like yelling and crying, trying to
You're
steer.
just cruising the whole way until you hit the curb. And then you gotta get up and lay down and push your pedal forward till it goes to
your
Imagine a dumbass and it goes to the back one too. The back sprocket. Damn it! I gotta go all the way around.
Hey, imagine trying to do the high wheel, man. The big ass wheel laying down and turn that shit.
Sir, can you do me a favor? I'm kind of busy looking at his watch.
Oh, that's crazy, man.
I wonder if they're still having problems to this day with that bike.
I want to know what kind of problems too. I'm kind of curious, like what kind of.
Frank, he probably sold it by now. Man.
Yeah, that's true.
Sold it below cost.
Frank, there's something strange about that bike.
Well, for some reason, I feel like eating chicken. Every time I get near that bike.
Mike pissed off. You're always eating chicken, right? I like chicken, right? But you know what though, Julio did come through, man. I mean, he gave us some awesome ones from last time. I thought this was a good story, so thank you so much, Julio, for that story. That was awesome.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you,
Julio.
Hey, nothing, Nathan, man. He's been editing these past couple of episodes for us, which is freaking awesome.
Yeah,
dude. Like,
well,
you did too, Rob. But I mean,
no. But
he did
Nathan
like
has been coming through, man. Yeah, that I mean,
and man, definitely helped me out because I was freaking hammered, man. It's kind of weird. Like I do, web development, and I had one client who started to sell food like online to local people. So man, they got hammered with just like people ordering like.
Especially now, I can imagine.
Yeah, well now because everything that's going on, so we kind of like I had to change up their whole website. Well, me and some other developers, and we kind of change up their site so people can buy online and that. So anyway, I got really busy, and man, I'm so glad Nate was there to help out.
Yeah, you know what? And that was actually before this one. That one was the longest one we had.
Yeah.
And he did amazing. He always does, music wise. He just always he always comes through, man. I mean, no matter what we ask to do for him, man. So man, bro, thank you, bro.
Right here, right, pound the chest.
Yeah.
Hey, but also Nathan does. So Nathan actually, we consider him to be part of RMP because he really is. I mean, but he does his own thing. He's been doing it for years. With he did it for a little while with our other brother Jason. But man, Jason had to bail out too because he's been busy with work and stuff too. But Nathan, it's called. You got to listen to his podcast too. It's called Earful. Yeah. It's all one word: EARFOOL. Earful. And right now he's doing, like, if this isn't enough for you, this 2.5-hour episode that we're spitting out. But man, check out Nathan too, man. Check out Earful. He's on Spotify also, and a couple of other things. But he's doing these short ones also. They're pretty cool. I was listening to him the other day. And he mentioned us in there too. But it was called he's doing these short ones. They're called the Quarantine Boredom episodes. And he spelled boredom BREDUMB. So it's kind of cool though. But he has these short little mini episodes that he spit out. And man, if you guys get a chance to check them out, they're really good.
What are they about?
They're just like, you know what? They're not real topics. I mean, they're like he just kind of talks, rants a little.
Goes on to a rant, yeah. But it is interesting.
But good, though, what really grinds my gears?
Yeah. You know what, man? Music and like half of the stuff that he's talking about, I gotta go back and Google too. I was like, oh man.
But also, man, guys, we need more stories as usual. Keep them coming, and we love the ones that we've gotten so far. And as you'll see, I think we put all of them on. Except for, like we always say, that one that was a recipe one that we didn't do. But
feel free to send those, though.
Send them anyway.
We'll use them.
That's right. But hey, if you got a story, what is that phone number, Rob?
That number is 210-901-8666. And remember, folks, that is a 3-minute call. So if you do go over your time on that first call, make sure you call to give us the rest of your story and say it's part 2 of whatever story, or part 3 or part 4. How many times you have to call, that's fine. We'll edit that bad boy to sound like it's just one big ass story. So please call in. And if you're the shy type, David, what is that website?
Website, you can visit us online at www.rigormortisparanormal.com. There you can actually, there's a little section there that says submit a story. You can just click on that, write your story out, and hit send, or you can email us at rigormortisparanormal@gmail.com. Whichever way you decide to get it to us, just please get that story to us. And what about sharing, Jasmine?
Share. I don't know. Just I think honestly that's probably going to be one of our not contests, but giveaways.
How is that going to work?
I don't know. We haven't really worked it out, but basically we want, obviously, for you guys to share us so we can keep getting stories in, so we can share.
So the next one, we'll probably come with more details on that. Jazz, I'll let you do that one. You're real good at that, man.
Share shit, man.
Like she ain't busy
maybe whoever shares the most will get a book. How about that?
Something.
We'll have a set of stand next time.
How many wipes does it take to clean that corn?
Come in with the most creative quarantine mask.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
just saying.
I saw a quarantine mask that had Joe Exotic. Mustache.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's pretty badass, yeah.
Yep.
But man, thanks again, everybody. You guys, please stay safe. Do the right thing.
Stay home.
Do the social distance. Stay home. All good stuff.
If you're sick, don't even go.
If you're sick,
especially if you're sick.
Consider yourself already gone.
Make yourself a mask. Jazzy's really good at that stuff. Maybe she was talking about making some RMP masks. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm under the bus right now. She's like, I am.
Am I doing that?
But anyhow, thanks again. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys. Stay safe.
Peace out.
Later.
Adios.
Adios, baby.
the end of the story.